Good evening. It's 6:31, and we'll call this meeting to order for our budget hearing for 2019.
There are 3 sets of handouts. The first handout is a single page, and that is our 2019 through 2023 bus replacement plan. That shows an inventory of all of our school buses and how we plan on replacing those buses for the next 5 years. The next one is a 22-page document, and that is our capital projects plan. The first page shows proposed expenditures that will exceed $10,000 that we're required to notify. And the next page shows capital projects that will possibly exceed $10,000. And then the individual building by building plans are also attached to that. And then I will go through some of this as part of the other handout, which is some slides that will talk about the budgeting process. The most important thing that everybody needs to know is it's a new kind of budget and process this year. Under the old budget, we had general fund, capital projects, debt service, transportation, and bus replacement. Each area either had a tax rate, a maximum levy, or a maximum rate, but they weren't calculated the same. In 2019, we're going on a diet. We only have 3 funds. They took the old funds and consolidated them. The first fund is education, and that's going to be part of the old general fund, but it's a slimmer version with only the instructional type expenditures in it. The next one is a fund called operations, and that has combined capital projects, bus replacement, and transportation, along with all other previous general fund expenditures that are overhead and maintenance. And then lastly, the third fund is debt service, and nothing has changed in that fund. The education fund is funded by the state for the most part. It comes on an amount per student basis, and it's based on our 2018, September 2018 student enrollment number. It's the same as the old general fund for income purposes. And this is really important to remember. All the income from the old general fund is deposited into the education fund. The operations fund is going to be funded by something called a maximum levy. And what that means is that you will be given a dollar amount by DLGF in the summer of 2018. They'll send you a notice that says how much you can raise or levy in taxes for that entity. And this is the amount that you build your budget off of. It gets converted into a tax rate after the budget's complete. So the tax rate is not the most important piece, it's the maximum levy. This is going to include all the buses, including new buses, transportation, all the capital projects, all the maintenance, all the custodial expenses, and central office expenses that were previously paid out of general fund. Previously, there's about $4.2 million in costs that are going to come out of operations fund that we previously paid out of general. And that's going to be about 14% of the old general fund budget. Some of you might wonder, how are we going to get the money between the funds? So all the revenue gets deposited into the education fund, but part of the expenditures are paid for out of the operations fund. So how do you get money between the funds? Well, DLGF tells us how we're going to do the process to move money. And they've told us that we'll make a board resolution as part of our budgeting process and then make monthly transfers between the funds to account for the expenditures. So in August, our board approved a resolution, and this number is reflected on our budget documents as a transfer out of the education fund on the Form 4B, and it'll be a transfer into the operations fund on the Form 2, which is miscellaneous revenue. Every year the board's going to have this resolution. In a couple of years, it's going to seem like the way we've always done it. Right now, it's just very new. Our advertised tax rate this year will be 66.22 cents, and that represents 14.5 cents out of the old debt service fund and a little over 50 cents out of the operations fund, which again was the previous transportation, bus replacement, and capital projects fund. This amount will change from year to year for two reasons. It's based on our assessed valuation, so if our assessed valuation goes up or down, the number will change. And DLGF actually is building in something called an AV growth quotient into the maximum levy. This year, what our maximum levy was increased by 3.4% growth. So last year's maximum levy number was 3.4% less than the number we were given this year. Statewide, how do we stack up against the other schools? In the state, we have one of the 10% lowest tax rates. So that means of all the schools in the state of Indiana that are public schools, our tax rate is in the bottom 10% for districts. We also have the lowest rate in Morgan County for schools. The other Morgan County schools are, Morrisville's rate is 0.7874, and that's their actual rate. Monroe, Gregg, and Eminence, I have their projected rates, which are the estimates that DLGF publishes. Our rate is 12.5 cents less than Morrisville's currently. Our financial position in 2018, in July 2014, we had $17.6 million in total funds. July of 2018, we ended the month with $22.6 million. So we've increased our cash balance by about 28%. At the same time, we've used a combination of debt and cash projects to do major facility upgrades. This was done to avoid using as much debt, saving interest paid, and allowed us to make improvements and keep our tax rate down. This is a very fiscally conservative approach that focuses on 10 to 20% cash reserve balance and growing the rainy day fund in order to secure top bond ratings to get lower borrowing cost rates. Our two biggest expenses in our budget in 19 are going to be facility costs. That includes upgrades, renovations, improvements, and maintenance. And then staffing costs, which include salary, health insurance, retirement, and other benefits. And that's around 90% of the old general fund. The first, facility costs. In the last 4 years, we've taken many facility improvements, and I'm going to highlight some of those. We've upgraded HVAC systems at Bell Smith, which has a shared system, Poston Road, and a partial HVAC replacement at Wooden. New roof at Bell and the MHS gym. The high school gym was air conditioned. At Bell, we've done new ceiling tiles, lights, and flooring throughout the building, as well as an office remodel, a new entrance, and classroom remodels. MHS had the most upgrades that included 11 science classrooms remodeled, a new makerspace, new high school signage, new high school siding, senior career center, and LED parking lot lighting. We had several sports upgrades, including a new rebuilt high school track, a rebuilt high school pool, new storage areas at the pool, high school weight room, high school wrestling room, new gym floor at the high school, and a major remodel at Glen Curtis Gym at Wooden. We've done a partial ceiling tile and lighting project at Wooden, as well as 2 brand new science classrooms and 3 remodeled science classrooms for hands-on science labs, new hallway flooring, and we've done partial lighting and ceiling tile remodels. In this budget in 2019, moving forward, we're budgeting $250,000 every year for roofs, and we're putting our roofs on a roofing plan continuous improvement cycle. We don't want to face a $2 million roof replacement like we did at Bell in 2014, where we had to replace the entire roof, and we had to borrow money to do it. So we're taking all of our roofs, dividing them up into 20 increments, and just on a rotation, 1/20th of our roofs are redone every year. We've also put a new sound system in the auditorium, family bathrooms in all buildings, bathroom remodel project that included shower curtains and privacy screens in men's restrooms at Bell, Wooden, and the high school. Safety double sets of doors in all buildings, technology check-in software in all buildings, major security camera upgrade with 40 additional cameras added, and new interior room locks at Bell, Wooden, and the high school. Lastly, we've had a new wellness gym and healthcare clinic for employees, new parking lot and drives at CEC, Smith, Bell, and Wooden, and a new playgrounds at CEC and Bell. In 2018-19, we have some additional projects. We have additional improvements at the high school auditorium. We're going to focus on the acoustical ceiling and the orchestra pit areas. We have high school library upgrades, including new flooring and furniture that we will be undertaking soon. We also plan to focus on windows at Wooden Middle School, and those should be energy efficient. The current windows are single pane windows in many places and contribute to substantial heat loss, and that is increased electric bills. We also plan to, over the summer, start additional lighting, ceiling tiles, and flooring at Wooden to continue to upgrade that building. Our staffing costs are our other large expense. Last year, we moved our staff back on an increment schedule, so we have a future budget commitment to fund these increases each year to staff who are effective or highly effective. The increment increases are $1,000 between each level, or $1,500 the year you move between a bachelor's to a master's level. Our teachers' pay ranges from $37,000 for a beginning teacher to approximately $65,200 for a master teacher with 20 years. The staff have also had stipends provided if they're at the top of the scale and not on the increment schedule, and those are amounts in our contract are $750 each year per staff member at the top of the scale. Paying the increment and the stipend cost approximately $250,000 each year that we budget for. We've also made a commitment to health care. We've had major increases in health insurance between our 2015 and our 2018 rates. The district paid portion has increased about 24% for employees and about 34% for people on the family plan. Other benefits that are reflected in our budget this year for staff include retirement contributions. If a staff member is in PERF, that's approximately 11.2% of their salary. If it's in TURF, that's approximately 10.5%. The 401A is a 3% match, and the VIVA is 1% of the salary. For a full-time employee, benefits add over 22% to the cost, not including health or dental insurance. So it adds up that a majority of our expenses in the education fund is related to employee salary and benefits, and then a good portion of those expenses in the operations fund are also related to salary and benefits. So to summarize the presentation for the budget hearing, we're financially in a good position. We've leveraged cash to limit debt, and we've kept the tax rate one of the lowest in the entire state. We've provided steady staff increases with a major budget impact on funding health insurance premiums. We continue to fund a roof plan so we don't have to issue debt to replace a roof. And our budget includes a commitment to funding future staff increases by moving our teachers last year back on an increment type scale. There are no members of the audience here to ask questions in a hearing, so I think our other option is to adjourn.
Ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.